In the city-states of Italy, humanism ignites a new age, the Renaissance, heralding an explosion of new ideas, new inventions, and new discoveries. It is a time like no other.
It is a nice time to be born as a really brilliant person.
In a small town in Tuscany, a young boy discovers the world. Almost from the beginning, the mysteries of nature fascinate him. The young Leonardo has no real place in the world, no future. He is the bastard child of a respected notary and a poor farmer's daughter. He lives in his father's house, but his mother is left to marry a man of her own class.
His mother married sometimes after the Leonardo was born, who was a local guy in a social estate, a fighter, a crawler, a guy with fists. They parted him locally. It is not inconceivable, but Leonardo would have some access to her. But equally possible that Leonardo's family kept him away from other people who had different social status.
Young Leonardo enjoys a comfortable childhood with his father and his stepmother, but because of his legitimate status, his prospects look bleak.
It's looked like a second-class family membership, legal offspring. Obviously are going to inherit the family estate. Follow the other into the family business, but Leonardo disqualified somehow from that.
Best in for life as a tradesman, he cannot even take his father's name. He is known as Leonardo from Vinci. His family will spend no money on his formal education.
Legitimacy. Yet this is common in the society by that time, but still, when it comes to your personal attitude, it's just one constraint and it's your inferiority to face the society. And Da Vinci was affected really by this.
Faced with his legitimacy, young Leonardo begins to develop a code to push beyond all expectations, which will eventually propel onto the corridors of power and onto the greatness. In his teens, Leonardo moves with his father to Florence, a city driven by politics and power. In this driving place of commerce, one family stands out, the Medici, whose importance to Leonardo will grow as he matures. The Medici are the most powerful and the most important patrons of the arts in Florence.
Florence is a city which officially governed by guild. It's been that way since the end of 13th century. The government of Florence driven by the most powerful guilds. By the time Leonardo moved to Florence, it was the Medici family at the center.
The guilds are professional trade unions, but most of them are close to a bastard like Leonardo. Yet it is difficult to gain entry to even a non-professional guild. His one hope rests in his talent and the help of his father's well-placed friends. His father sends him to Andrea Verrocchio, a highly regarded Florentine artist. Verrocchio agrees to take Leonardo as an apprentice to give him the experience he needs after seeing his notebook. Leonardo first comes to understand the connection between art and the power while working in the studio. The Medici family often commissions paintings from Verrocchio. As Leonardo becomes part of the workshop, he realizes that he can push beyond his social limitations. His code emerges stronger now. If circumstances hold you back, always find another way to achieve your goals. In studio, Leonardo works on his code, driving him to learn all he can to excel beyond. His notebook reflects the demands he makes of himself. Until the gates of the war near Florence silently vanishes, Leonardo labors on and waits, putting his active mind to work on defensive fortification and other weapons of war.
All about engineering, and all these massive structures talks about engineering, of course, because literally when Leonardo was alive, you have all these different varying city-states, warfields, and cost a fact of life.
As peace at last comes to Florence, Leonardo receives a commission to paint the Adoration of Magi, an altered piece for the monastery at San Donato Scopito. It is his first important work.
It considered as his first important work. Leonardo was commissioned to paint this work for the main altar of the monastery of San Donato Scopito, near Florence. In adulation of the Magi, we have a composition of a square with people of all ages surrounding, and inside it a triangle with kneeling kings and Virgin Mary holding the child. In the bottom right corner of the painting, there is a man painted, and it is assumed to be a self-portrait of Leonardo da Vinci. Behind the pagan ruins can be seen a countryside and mounted men fighting a vicious beast.
Tantalizingly, the work is considered as an overturn, a first statement of Leonardo's great work to come, but it doesn't go well. After devoting extraordinary time to the underpainting, he leaves it unfinished. His notebook suggests his reason. To conceive an idea is noble, to execute the work is servile. After leaving Florence, Leonardo da Vinci, now 30, arrives in Milan, hoping to sell his skills in military engineering to the acting Duke Ludovico Sforza, a shrewd and militaristic noble.
He walked away from what would have no doubt been a secure and comfortable living as the society painter in late 15th century in Florence.
Cleverly exploiting this unstable politics, Leonardo's letter to the Duke outlines every imaginable military skill he has to offer as an military engineer. Fortress design, cannon construction, siege machines. Only in the very last line does he mention that he is also a painter. Unfortunately, Da Vinci must set aside his excitement about military designs because the Duke needs a portrait of his mistress. Despite Leonardo's disappointments, the painting becomes one of the most famous and important, The Lady with the Ermine.
Series of interesting pursuit by Leonardo with the motion of the mind. You know, as the mind knows, so the body expresses the motion of the mind. But Leonardo would say that's where the moment of the soul makes themselves most the manifest.
Her head turns to the right, as if distracted by something to the side, the animal as well. Again, Da Vinci's code pushes him to tackle new ideas.
he always engineers these things just enormous, much larger than everything that existed at the time, and the giant class were opposed the child's mentality. It's about the size probably would attract the trailer in large and boundaryless. Everything boundaryless. Don't forget to get the money that so and so owes you, and maybe the sketches of the people he saw in the street who had interesting faces maybe, and knows to himself anything he wants to remember.
It is called the Mona Lisa. No one knows who she is or if she even existed at all. As he paints, Da Vinci keeps her amused with music and entertainment.
Leonardo says in his writings that her faces are most beautiful. He captures the effects by using transparent forms of paint. A technique is called fumato, which means kind of smoky effect.
It is said that Mona Lisa's smile is mysterious because Leonardo da Vinci has shaded the corners of her mouth and the corners of her eyes, which are exclusive features of a human face. History doesn't reveal her true identity. Da Vinci's biographer Vasari identifies her as Mona Lisa Gioconda, the wife of a merchant. But Vasari never saw the painting, and Da Vinci himself never left any clue. The Mona Lisa remains forever a work in progress, a physical manifestation of his code, of his commitment to achieve the impossible, perfection in painting.